8 inventions from World War I which we use on a daily basis. Do we not owe so much to World War I? The outcomes from while World War I redrew political borders, commenced the invention of modern-day weaponry, and so much more. However, aside from the major advances World War I brought about, it also pioneered the invention of numerous practical items that we use on a daily basis. Did you know trench coats, sanitary napkins, and blood banks were invented during World War I? Number 8. Trench coats. The trench coat is never out of fashion for both men and women. This fashion trend owes its existence to World War I. Long ago, an overcoat was considered an important attire of the British Armed Forces. Trench coats were designed to be used as substitutes to the heavy coats used by the French and British military officers in World War I. Two British companies, Aquascutum and Burberry, claim to be the manufacturers of the trench coats. Modification of the trench coat took place during World War I, and D-rings along with shoulder straps were included in it. D-rings were designed to keep swords or other weapons, while shoulder straps were incorporated to attach epaulets. These trench coats contained large pockets to keep maps, flaps for protection, and back vents. They are waterproof and proved to be very effective in protecting soldiers from the rain, and made them popular during the war. Number 7. Blood banks. The process of blood transfusion before World War I was very low. Many soldiers died due to the loss of blood. There was no proper process for the transfusion of blood. Disturbed by the whole situation, a doctor in the U.S. Army, Oswald Robertson, consulted with the British Army and was successful in developing the first blood bank during World War I. Nowadays, when we walk into a blood bank, we see carefully sealed refrigerated bags of blood labeled with a barcode and description that's conventional. However, back in the day, they used more traditional methods to store blood. Blood was stored in glass bottles which were kept on ice, and a mixture of citrate and dextrose solution was added to it for preservation. Number 6. Sun lamps. The war caused an increase in poverty and malnutrition. In 1919, a great number of children had to face health disorders such as rickets, which leads to softening of bones and the body becomes malformed. Doctors naturally assumed it was due to poverty and lack of basic needs. A doctor in the city, Kurt Huldschinski, observed that children with rickets were mostly pale, and he concluded that this was because they weren't exposed to sunlight. Due to this, the children were becoming vitamin D deficient. On a split side, doctors also observed that sunlight healed the wounds of soldiers pretty fast. It didn't take too much time for them to put 2 and 2 together to realize that children need more light, and voila, that's how sun lamps came into being. Number 5. Helmets. Before World War I, soldiers used to cover their heads with a piece of cloth, not the safest way to avoid bombs and bullets. Observing the situation, Auguste Louis Adrien from France designed the first helmet, which was made of thin steel. Following France, Britain made its own helmet using the same design, but with a comparatively thicker material. Then France and U.S. took on a similar design as well. Later in 1916, Germany made its distinctive helmets with peculiar neck guards. A historian noted that this creation was a turning point. I think it was extremely important because you had a scientific approach to the protection which in previous times was entirely lacking, says Robert Attard. Number 4. Wristwatches. Before World War I, individuals would assume the time through the whistles of factories and church bells. The trend of keeping watches wasn't very common, and women mostly wore watches as decorative pieces. During the war, it was difficult for soldiers to take watches out of their pockets and take a look at the time. It was during this time that innovators noticed a gap in the market. The need for wristwatches was felt. They came with a detachable cage and a trench guard. Soon, these were put on sale and had an ever-increasing demand. Even today, the revenue earned by wristwatches is increasing on a yearly basis. Number 3. Sanitary napkins. Even sanitary products owe their legacy to World War I. During the war, the demand for cotton products increased because they were needed for the bandaging of soldiers. As a substitute, sphagnum moss, a plant with antimicrobial characteristics, was used for the absorption of blood. until Kimberly-Clark Company brought forward Celicotton, which was an excellent absorbent. This caught the attention of nurses dealing with wounded soldiers at the front, and they found it suitable to be used during the menstrual cycle as well. Kimberly-Clark learned this and started marketing Kotex sanitary pads. The competition for sanitary pads increased in the market. Similarly, tampons were made from Celicotton and were used to clog blood for severe wounds. Number 2. Trains. During World War I, the railway system was not as advanced as it is nowadays. However, railways proved to be very beneficial in the efficient transport of men and equipment to the front. Railways played a major role in quickly summoning the armed forces and shifting the wounded soldiers. The war unearthed the ideologies of how wastefully railways had frequently been run before 1914. They proved the railway to be an essential resource. This led to rail nationalization in Europe. Later in 1920, Britain developed its first Ministry of Transport. The government and the academia then made collective efforts to put the experience and knowledge gained during the war to create a strong administrative footing. Number 1. Guided missiles. During World War I, guided missiles were put into the light even though they were not used. Britain used radio signals to guide their bombs to the target territory it wanted to attack. However, in 1917 these missiles failed, but there was an innovation on the way. Charles Kettering designed a Kettering bug, which was a missile made of wood. This bomber had electric wires inside it, and was made to complete a particular number of revolutions to let the bomb-carrying cockpit fall on the target. This Kettering bug was successfully displayed in 1918. Britain's missiles and the Kettering bug were the earliest forms of missiles developed during World War I. Today, several missiles can cause destruction and can even be fired from submarines and ships. Which one of these inventions do you use most?